Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama, Season 1, Episode 8 of my show, but this is about Episode 7 of Season 1. Now, Episode 7 is known as My Three Sons, but before I start talking about it, I just want to mention, since we're on Episode 7, that means we got 2 more videos left to do for the first season, and I will put that in the description of the video for you guys. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Because there's 9 episodes, and the episode I'm talking about is episode 7, and there's 9 episodes total. So counting this one, there's 2. After this one, I have 2 more left. So that's what I mean by that. But anyway, enough getting off topic. This is History of Futurama, Season 1, Episode 8 of my show. But this is about Episode 7 of Season 1. And Episode 7 is known as My Three Sons. Now, basically, the way this episode first starts off is, Fry, Leela, and Bender basically they explore the underground side of New York, like the shady side, like the part of it where, you know, where you have first what happens is Fry and Leela come in and they see Bender watching a cooking TV show. Oh my god. Hosted by this Neptunian character known as Eldar. And then when Leela sees that, basically she's wondering if he's watching a cooking-based show, and he tries to downplay it like he's saying no. But then basically Leela tells Bender that she didn't know that he liked to cook, and then basically he says he does, and he's acting like he's kind of embarrassed of it, which kind of makes sense because he wouldn't want his friends to know that he liked cooking and stuff, which is kind of funny because he, as it's explained later in the series, his cooking skills are rather terrible. But I'll explain more about that later. I just wanted to get that out of the way there. Basically what happens is, after that, that leads into what I was saying at the beginning of the episode, when Fire, Leela, and Bender were walking to the shady part of town, and then Leela is telling Fry to be careful because this is not the New York that he knew back in the year 2000. It's much more dangerous, and then Fry says that these are his people, which is true because in the series he's from New York. So any version of New York in a timeline is a home for the person living there, but it's understandable that he would be, personally, I'm just saying this from watching the series, both when it was on TV and watching it on Disney+. Just because you knew how something worked back when you were in the same city in a different timeline does not justify that you know how it is in the current timeline in the series that it's in, which in this case is the year 3000. And the reason why I state that is because basically what happens is, while they're exploring, because the reason why they're exploring is because Bender needs to go shopping to pick up some food to make for his friends and stuff, because, you know, they find out that he's cooking. He secretly likes to cook, so he's wanting to cook them a meal and stuff. And what happens with Fry is basically he runs into these two shady guys. Like, one is basically one that is selling different types of body parts, and then that was when Leela pulled him away because he tried to tell him that this wasn't the New York that he knew and stuff. And then basically, what happens is after that, after Bender and Leela finish getting the ingredients Bender needs to make for the dinner for everyone on the ship, they wonder where Fry is, and then... But the thing is, Fry went back to those two shady people, and then basically that's when he mentions to them that he has had trouble breathing underwater, so he'll take the gills, and then the one that was selling the gills and stuff is like, yes, gills. Then you don't need lungs anymore, right? And then Fry says that he can't see why he would need them. And then he tells him to lie down on the table for the operation. And basically what he'll do is he'll take the lungs now, and the kills will come by next week. Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's just hilarious. He tastes Fry's lungs now, but then the kills that he receives from that transplant comes the week after it, which I get it. It kind of makes sense because if you're doing like a transplant of a type of organ, it would take a while for the organ that you want to replace to get to the person that needs it and stuff. So it's understandable, but it's also funny in a stupid way. And then he calls another shady thug over and says to the nurse, and he has Fry lie down on the table, and he tells him that he may feel some small pain, which is true because he's going to use a knife to open his throat so he can get the lungs. So, of course, there is going to be a bit of small pain regardless. And basically what happens is after that, that's when Leela shows up and confronts them and stops them from taking Fry's lungs. And then basically she told him to be careful about that stuff because, like she said before, this isn't the future that he knew, the version of New York that he knew and stuff. And then basically Fry tries to defend himself by saying that, because he tells her that, did she ever stop to think that maybe he would be happier with gills? And then basically, now the fact of Fry ignoring Leela's warning about those two is actually funny, because him ignoring her warning will actually happen again in the episode when they make the delivery for this episode. Anyway, that's the reason why I find it funny, is because the same thing's gonna happen when they do the delivery segment of this episode that I'm talking about. I just wanted to get that out of the way there. And then, anyway, as I was saying, like I said, Fry tries to defend himself by saying that he tells Leela that, did she not think that he would be happier with gills and stuff? Now, technically, this is just my personal opinion on this, and just, if they would have taken the lungs out of Fry, then at the point, and then the gills would have came next week, I think he would have probably lasted a little bit before then, so it might have been a scam. But anyway, so even if they did take his lungs and he had gills, they wouldn't be able to breathe normal air, I don't think, because gills only work for people who breathe underwater, like like fish or something, or in mythological cases, mermaids. Now, speaking of the mermaid thing, that's actually gonna play a hand in one of the later episodes in the series, but I'm not gonna explain which one until I get to this episode which has it. But I just wanted to bring it up since I mentioned it. And then basically after that, Professor Farnsworth tells the Planet Express crew that he's like, "Good news, everyone!" And then when Bender hears about that, he's like, "Uh-oh, here it comes." Well, because Farnsworth tells them that they'll be making a... Good news, everyone! You'll be making a delivery to the planet Trisar. And then after that, he says that part. He says it's a planet at the deepest, darkest segment of the Forbidden Zone. And basically, after Bender hears that, he's like, "Thank you and good night." And then Leela even gets a little skeptical about the Forbidden Zone. The skepticism is that if they're even allowed in there. She asks the professor if they're even allowed in the Forbidden Zone, which kind of makes sense because it's called the Forbidden Zone. So if it's forbidden, they probably shouldn't be there. But the professor nonchalantly explains that they are allowed to be there because the Forbidden Zone is just a name. He's like, of course, all the zones have that name. It's just a name, like the Death Zone or the Zone of No Return. All zones have names like that in the Galaxy of Terror. In the Galaxy of Terror. Oh my god. That's the part of this that I find is kind of funny in the series, that there's a segment of the galaxy, of the universe in the series called the Galaxy of Terror that has different zones that are differently named. It's just so hilarious. Anyway, getting back into what I was saying, they start to make the delivery, and then basically what happens is Leela she gives Fry the package to deliver. Now, I'm just going to explain what the package is. The package is actually a sign that said to not drink the Emperor, but I'll explain more about that later. I just thought I'd bring it up now since it's because of the whole thing. And what happens is, after, when they start making the delivery, Fry gets a little annoyed with Leela and says that would she calm down, because he was making deliveries long before she was born, because he feels he knows what he's doing. But the funny thing about that is he forgot to pick up the package. He forgot to get the package from Leela before. Oh, before. Before heading out of the galaxy, heading to the palace in the planet Tristar where it is, and while he's walking to where the palace is in the episode, he's seeing these suns, and one of the suns is going down. He's like, "Oh, come on, go down already." And then when that sun goes down, another one comes up, and then Fry gets a little annoyed by that, and he's like, "Ugh." And then he manages to reach the palace, and he basically tries to find the place where to put the package, but he's so then he sees this bottle, and he's actually so thirsty from being outside in the hot weather. He drinks from it, but when he drinks from it, what happens is the two Trisolian guards show up, and then one of them's like, "The royal bottle is empty," and the other one's like, "You drank our emperor." And then basically what happens is Fry tries to deny that it's not him, but then he burps and a bubble comes out of him, so he pops it. And then the two Trisolian guards that are encountering him, one is telling him that, "You drank our emperor! You assassinated him!" And then Fry tries to explain that he didn't mean to because the emperor in the bottle just looks so cool and refreshing. And then one of the two guards says that, "I'm sure he was." But then the other one's like, "But now he's gone, and your fate is sealed." So Fry thinks that they're gonna kill him, but in fact they actually make him the new emperor and stuff. And then after that, in the next scene, what happens is... Oh, speaking of... I'm just gonna backtrack to the part where they were on the ship. Bender was making them a meal for him, and then for them on the ship before they got to TriStar, and Leela was telling the others that basically this was Bender's first meal that he was making them, and they didn't want to hurt his feelings. She didn't want them to hurt his feelings and stuff, so he tried to be positive about. He told them to try to be nice about the meal that he was making them. And the funny thing is, when he was making the meal with the snail, he put salt on it, but he put too much of it. So much salt on the snail that it shriveled up. I just wanted to get that part out of the way because I felt it was kind of funny. Anyway, what happens is after that, Leela shows up at the palace with the others, and then Leela tells Fry that after she specifically told him not to touch anything, he drank a bottle of suspicious liquid, and she said that it could have been poison. Could have been dangerous acid, and then Fry says that it could have been, but chances were also clear that it was most likely an emperor. And basically, one of the Trisolians comes over to give Fry that package that Fry was supposed to deliver to the Emperor before he drank him, which is basically a sign that says not to drink him. And then basically what happens is after that, Fry is then basically in trying to pick who his consort is, and he has it between either Gorlag or Bender, and then basically he chooses Bender, and then Bender kind of gets ecstatic about that and kind of rubs it in the other candidate's face, and then basically what happens is after that Fry then goes with one of the other Trisolians to pick out his sort of like his mate kind of thing. And then basically what happens is after having trouble deciding which one, and then after that what happens is then it goes into a scene where they're having a feast, and before they have the feast, the minister is explaining that Fry will be enshrined as the new emperor of the planet when the sun of the planet fall down, which causes them to enter the the Trisolian people to enter their receptive state, sort of like I guess you could kind of think of it as a goal state, and he wonders if there was any rules that he has to follow before the ceremony for that, and he basically, the one of them says that there's only one, he just needs to recite the oath before he becomes the emperor in order for that to work. And then basically, after that, what basically happens is, while they're having the dinner segment of the episode, one of the Trisolians is introducing their planet's sort of comedian known as Florp, and he tells this joke about people under one sun and people like them under the other sun about and stuff, and Fry's like, right, oh yeah, right, and then Leela tries to go to talk to him because she realizes that he's in danger. Now, the reason why she says he's in danger is because she shows him these pictures of all the previous emperors that were assassinated, and then she tells them that every single one of them is ascended to power by assassinating the previous one. And then she tells them that he's next by going to the picture, and then in the next parts of the scene, it's like the first the picture that's empty is like says Fry's assassin, and then the other one says Fry's assassin, and then I don't know if it's because Fry is dumb, but he's trying to downplay it. Like he's like, well, at least my assassin will get what's coming to him. And then basically Leela tells him that he's in major danger because half of those emperors were drunk at their own coronation. Now, when she said the word drunk, he thought that she meant like drunk from like alcohol kind of thing, but she said that she was referring to them being assassinated. And then basically afterwards, and after Fry makes this analogy about a squirrel with acorns and stuff, Leela tells Fry that she's not helping him again. If anyone but him needs her, she'll be on the ship. And then Fry thinks that he'll be fine because it's not like anyone's gonna want to drink him. And then what happens is after that, someone opens like one of those slide mouth things in pictures and uses a straw to start drinking his blood, and he's like, stop it. I think the reason why he told them to stop it was because before it was happening before it was supposed to. Either that or he was just dumb that was happening, but he realized that it was, so he tried to make him stop regardless. But I honestly think it's the first of those two options. But anyway, they're doing a coronation ceremony for Fry, and then basically he recites the oath that is written, the written version of the oath that is on his hand, and after that, the people of the planet are saying that he'll make a fine emperor and long live Fry the Solid, and then the suns go down, and that's when Fry's body starts to go, and they find out that, and then one of the Trisolian consort people is like, the Emperor Fonts, he's still alive, and then Fonts inside Fry's body is like, of course I'm alive. Now cut this and get me out of here. And then they start going at Fry with spears, and he's like, my tummy hurts. And then in the next scene, they start running, but because Fonts is inside of Fry, he tries to give them away. He's like, they're up here. They're running. They're over here. They're running up the stairs. And then Bender gets annoyed with him, and he's like, shut up, you. And he basically, he tries to hit Fonz, but since Fonz is inside Fry's body, he basically hits Fry. So it's a technicality that he actually hits his friend, but it's because Fonz is inside of him, and Fonz is giving away their location to the others, and they don't want to get caught by them. And they go to the door, and then basically what happens is, the consort that was doing Fry's coronation is telling them that Fry must die so that Fonz may live, but they won't open the door, so they decide to basically use their bodies to basically peel the door down, which basically means make it so that it doesn't exist. So it's sort of like ramming it, but ramming it with their bodies. And then basically, they're wondering if Alien said that they have to figure out a way to get the Emperor out of Fry. Well, Fry's asking that they gotta find a way to get the Emperor. Well, Amy's saying that basically they have to figure out a way to get the Emperor out of Fry before they kill him, and then Zoidberg comes up with the idea, and basically his idea is he tells Fry, "Relax, Fry." He tells Fry that he'll basically spin him in a high speed. He's like, "Relax, Fry. I'll simply spin you in a high-speed centrifuge, separating out the denser fluid of His Highness." But when Fry overhears that part of it, he's like, "But won't that crush my bones?" And then when Zoidberg hears the part about the bones, he's like, "Oh, right, with the bones. I always forget about the bones." And they think that they gotta get him out, the Emperor out of him in some other way. So maybe if he basically sweated, like, perspirated, like, from sweating and stuff, and then basically the Emperor that's inside Fry's like, "Forget it! As Emperor, I refuse to be wetted out of someone's armpit," which is kind of good, because if he would have been sweated out of Fry's armpit, then basically that would have been gross. So I think it was a good idea that they didn't go with that one. And then Fry basically says that I could either barf or vomit. Could either barf or vomit. Would that make you feel better? And then the Emperor's like, "Slightly, but my favorite so far is the bone crushing." Oh my god, the bone crushing part. Oh, so he's fine with the centrifuge part, but he's not okay with being sweated out in Fry's armpit. Now, in this case, the armpit one made sense, because there's no way someone who that's actually kind of disgusting when you think about it, being perspirated out of someone's armpit. At least in this case. And then basically that's when when Amy comes up with the idea maybe they can make him cry in order to get the Emperor out, and then basically they go with that idea, and then they try to make him cry, and then Bender tries to make him cry, and then basically by insulting him a bit, like he's like, the first insult, he's like, "You're a pimple on society's ass, and you'll never amount to anything." And then Fry explains that, what does he mean, he was Emperor of a whole planet, and then Bender realizes that that's a good point, but then he tries to remind him of the fact that, "But here's a disturbing reminder. Everything and everyone you knew in the 20th century are dead." Which is kind of true, because he got frozen in the year 1999 before the start of the year 2000, so it made sense that he was frozen for 1,000 years. So basically all the people in his timeline were dead, which in his case is a good thing because he didn't like his time in that time period anyway. So he downplays that part of it, and then basically Bender gets a little upset that disappointed, like he said that it's harder to make someone cry, and then he basically Amy tells Bender that he did his best, and then he's like, "Up yours, bimbo," and then she starts to cry, and then Zoidberg makes the remark about that they're in hot butter and that they should call Leela. And then Bender is telling Zoidberg to basically, he's like, "Cram it, lobster!" But then he realizes that, which makes Zoidberg cry, but then he realizes that that's not a bad idea. So he goes over to this phone thing to make a collect call to Leela and stuff. And then basically, when the animated thing says about the collect, he tells Leela that she has a collect call. Bender on the other end says, "I'm not giving my name to some machine." And then Leela says that she'll accept the call, and that then Bender tells Leela that Fry's in trouble, and he needs help. And then he said that he doesn't like her, and she doesn't like him. But then Leela said that she does like him, and then basically Bender's sort of taken aback by that, by thinking that he tries to dodge it a little bit, trying to get back to the point, but then after Leela says that she doesn't know if she would, after what happened with Fry, then Bender inquires what she likes about him, and then after Bender gets back from the phone call, Amy wonders if Leela's coming to rescue them, and then basically Bender says that he doesn't know, but he does know that she likes his in-your-face attitude, which in this case is in-your-face, inner-face kind of thing, which that kind of thing will play a hand in the later seasons. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, by this point, what happens is they finally manage to slightly break down the door a little because water starts seeping through, and the Emperor sees that, and he's like, "It's only a matter of time now." And then that's when they realize, by looking out the window, that Leela's coming after to rescue them. And then Fry gets a little sort of upset about that because she's coming to rescue them after he was such a jerk to her, and he feels bad about it. And then Bender uses that to his advantage to make him cry by telling him a lie that the Tricellians had managed to kill him. But in all honesty, she actually survives it. And his plan almost works, but Leela survives it, and Bender tells her that basically he told Fry that she was dead so that he would cry out the Emperor. But she had to go and wreck it by surviving. And then Amy tells them that they only got like 2 drops. And basically what happened was after Bender had told him that the reason why they were only able to get 2 drops out is because Fry started crying because of the fact that, and he said that all Leela ever wanted to do was help him, but he was too stupid to want it, and he wished that he had been killed instead of her. But that was when the second tear came out. But that's when he finds out that she's alive, and then that leads into what Bender says about her surviving, which wrecked the lie that they told Fry that she died so that he would cry out the Emperor. And then Amy said that they only managed to get like 2 drops, and then basically what happens is after that, Fry tells Leela that he's sorry for being a jerk, about not wanting her to help him, and from now on he'll take her help as she offers it, and then she starts helping him by hurting him. Now, the reason why she's doing it like the others were is because, which the other two do as well, is so that they can make him cry to give it up the Emperor. But at first he doesn't know that, but after he starts crying a little, he realizes what they're planning, and then that actually leads into the funny little ending with this episode. They still keep beating him up, and even after the Emperor is out of his body, and then when the Emperor starts beating on him, Fry's like, well, wait a second. Well, first what happens is, when he realizes what they're doing, he's like, thanks everybody, I love you all. And then basically, by this point in the episode, the Emperor is already fully out of Fry's body, and they're still beating on him regardless. I think they just did that for the ending part of it, and then he tells him, your turn, and then the Emperor starts beating on Fry with a chair, and then Fry wonders who he is, and then Fonz tells him that he's the Emperor, and he's thanking him for crying him out, and then Fry's like, oh, you're welcome. And then he continues beating on him with the chair, and then, well, he's beating on him for a little bit more. Bender's like, hey, save something for me, and that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably next time for the next Futurama video. But until then, guys, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun.